right now. The Manhattan federal court on Friday ordered Donald Trump to pay E. Jean Carroll $83.3 million for defaming her. Now, the jury, Phil, according to Katursky's reporting, broke that up into two categories. They awarded $18.3 million in compensatory damages and $65 million in punitive damages. And, obviously this is a ruling that didn't take, as you noted, long for this jury to get to. It took them just under 3 hours. Donald Trump not in court for that. But that is a remarkable number. I mean, they were looking for about $10 million. But then to see, the punitive damages for in particular, and Brian would know far better than me, I mean, that's really the jury weighing Donald Trump's statements. And clearly, that is a number that really added a gut punch to Donald Trump, Phil.
And I want to bring Brian back in. So, Brian, you had said this was, an option, especially if it's a shorter deliberation. They went above what E. Jean Carroll was asking for, and it's $83.3 million total. It's a message, right? It's a message that you said a jury in a case like this could send.
Yeah, so think about it this way. Compensatory damages, those are the damages that are calculable that E. Jean Carroll's attorneys brought forward through this Northwestern University professor, and that was anywhere from $7 to $12.1 million to repair her reputation. But like I said earlier, the punitive damages, that's what I was really looking for, because that's to punish. That's to send a message. So when you're going off in front of the judge, when you're walking out in the middle of summations, when you're seeing that the person who is on trial for defamation keeps defaming, it's meant to be a deterrent. It's meant to punish. And they punished hard. I knew it would be a lot. I did not think it would be in the $65 million range. But to your point, that is a message.
Yeah, a message. And so, Brian, let's bring in Aaron Katursky. We understand Aaron is now in front of the camera out there in front of the courthouse. Aaron, we got your reporting just ahead of seeing you on camera because emails come quicker. But tell us what it was like and how it happened.
It took the jury less than 3 hours to reach this verdict, Phil. $83.3 million, the jury said Donald Trump should pay to E. Jean Carroll for making defamatory statements about her in June 2019 after he accused her of sexual assault. The jury found not only were the statements were they damaging to E. Jean Carroll, they said that Trump said them with ill will, spite, with vindictiveness, wanton, reckless, or willful disregard of Miss Carroll's rights. And so, in addition to the $18.3 million in compensatory damages, they awarded $65 million in punitive damages. Earlier in the day, Carroll's attorneys had asked the jury to think about how much money it would take to make Donald Trump stop defaming E. Jean Carroll, because they said, Phil, his defamatory statements continued well beyond June 2019. They counted well over 100 times, they said, when Trump, during the trial, said defamatory and disparaging things about her. And so this is what the jury took to be just punishment.
And Aaron, take us into the courtroom. Tell us how quiet it was when there's a jury verdict delivered like this. You can hear a pin drop. I'm wondering what it was like there in federal court when this was delivered.
Former President Trump was not in the room. He had been at court for much of the day, including walking out when one of the plaintiff's attorneys was delivering a closing statement, but he was not there when the verdict was read. His attorneys, Alina Habba, Michael Medeo, sat at counsel table. His criminal attorney, Susan Necklace, behind them. And E. Jean Carroll sat up front of the plaintiff's table in between her two attorneys, Roberta Kaplan and Sean Crowley. And when the jury was polled, meaning when the judge asked each of the 9 jurors one by one to affirm that this, in fact, was their verdict, E. Jean Carroll smiled at them. She was clearly pleased with this outcome. The plaintiffs had not put a specific dollar figure in the jurors' heads, but they said repairing the damage to her reputation would cost about $12 million. They said she deserved at least another $12 million for all of the attacks and the fear and the terror that it caused her. And then they asked for and untold millions more in punitive damages to punish Donald Trump, to make him stop, as they put it. And that's what the jury came up with, this $83.3 million figure.
Before we get to Brian with what happens now, I want to bring John back in because, John, I want to ask you this. I just want to ask you the question. They were looking for a number that would get Donald Trump to stop defaming E.G. Carroll. Do you think 83.3 million is that number?
I mean, you better believe it, because listen, Donald Trump at the moment, and Aaron and the team have been covering this as well, Phil. Donald Trump at the moment is also facing a potential gigantic bill from the state of New York, depending on what the verdict is in that Attorney General's case we were talking about a couple moments ago. So, the bills are adding up for Trump, right? Because in that case, they're seeking over $300 million. So add all these numbers up, we're approaching $500 million that Donald Trump may be out on. That is not enough money at the moment in the campaign coffer to cover all of this. That is a number, though. You have to also recognize that Donald Trump, for the company at the moment, the company is stable, but it's not a company that's growing, right? This is not Donald Trump 2015 cutting the ribbon at the new hotel in Washington, D.C. If anything, the company has been shrinking since Donald Trump left the White House. They've sold hotels, they've sold properties, they just sold a business that they had over the Whitestone Bridge here in New York, a golf club they held there. This is a different world order for Donald Trump, and under siege. And listen, we know Donald Trump likes to brag that he's really, really rich. A couple $100,000 here is one thing, but nearly $100 million, that's a whole different ballgame, Phil.
It is. And Brian, I want to bring you back in because Donald Trump has a history in court cases of delaying and appealing. What can be done now on his behalf? Does he have to this afternoon write a check for 83.3? Does he have the right to appeal it? How far can he go? How long can this be delayed?
So what I'll say is it's one.
Before we continue with the video, ladies and gentlemen, yes, he was told that he had to pay the $83.3 million. He did also appeal it to the Second Circuit, and they affirmed twice that he has to pay that money. They also ruled, which is the point of this video, that the DOJ cannot represent him in the case. Let's get back into the rest of the reporting.
One thing to win a civil case, it's another thing to get paid. We already know that he's appealing the initial case that found him liable, and that case was used as a way to start this proceeding. So he's going to argue until his original appeal is resolved, he shouldn't have to pay here. And that might be a very strong argument. He's of course going to appeal the dollar amount here, and that appeal process will take some time. Let's say the appeal process does finish in whatever amount of time it takes, because as you said, Donald Trump has a history of this, and he's pretty good at it as well. Then you get to the point of what's next. Typically, after a civil win like this, you get an attorney letter. Your attorney sends the letter to Donald Trump saying, hey, pay me by this date. If they don't pay, then you could start thinking about garnishing, whether it be wages or income or investments, starting to put liens on their property or high value assets. But the process takes time, and I bet you it's going to take more than 10 months. And I think a lot of what Donald Trump is attempting to do is delay until we get to the election. And his hope is that he wins. And if he wins, he has the possibility of delaying for another 4 years, because how can he be paying out this money when he is quote unquote serving the country? So it's really a process of kicking the can, and this is not going to end today. I think there's another battle of trying to get the money in the days following.
And I want to bring Aaron back in from outside the courthouse. Aaron, what happens now in terms of, are the attorneys going to come out and speak? Did you gauge their reaction when you were in court as well? Because obviously, E.G. Carroll's attorneys have to be very happy with this verdict. They got way more than they were asking for. But as Brian just pointed out, it's not a done deal.
It's not a done deal, and nobody knows that better than E. Jean Carroll after she won an earlier award of $5 million from Trump in a trial last May. The former president is appealing the outcome, so she hasn't seen the money, but it is waiting in escrow at an account here at the courthouse.
He has lost the $5 million case, and he's lost the $83.3 million case, both of which the DOJ is not allowed to represent him in either of those cases.
Courthouse. So former President Trump may have to do something similar here with now $83.3 million. Trump has already left. We know his attorneys are here. Whether they're prepared to speak on his behalf, we're not sure. But we know that defense attorney Alina Habba has been eager to speak at the conclusion of this case because she feels she and the former president have been mistreated by Judge Lewis Kaplan, who runs an extraordinarily tight ship. We know that E. Jean Carroll, who is now 80 years old, did something of a victory lap last May. Whether she's prepared to make statements now or later, we're not sure, in the company of her attorneys, Roberta Kaplan, Sean Crowley. But they should be coming out soon. Court has adjourned. Everybody has left the rooms. And now all that's left is to see what Mr. Trump is prepared to do and whether, E. Jean Carroll is now celebrating. But Phil, this is a vindication for her. She testified during the course of the trial over several days that former President Trump's lies affected her. They unleashed, as she put it, an avalanche of fear and anguish and terror. She was left with death threats that she says have not stopped. She keeps a pit bull at her house. She sleeps with a gun by her bed. And she said that's what her life has been like ever since she went public with her accusation against the former president in 2019. The defense believed that all of that was overblown, that E. Jean Carroll was enjoying the attention, and that if she didn't want to have this scorn heaped upon her, well, then she shouldn't have been so public with her allegation. And Carroll's attorney said that was like victim shaming and an antiquated view. Are we really still doing that to tell a woman to keep silent if she is sexually assaulted? That was what the jury was weighing as they came up with this dollar figure in fairly short order, in under 3 hours of deliberations.
John, I want to know what happens next politically. You cover this very closely. I think we see Jean Carroll there with her attorneys just through the doors there at the New York City courthouse. It looks like she's making her way out. So we're going to watch this as I ask you this question, John. But I might want to jump back in because she may come to the cameras. So let me just talk for just a minute as we watch her.
Here she comes. Can you come to me, Phil?
Yeah, Aaron, we're with you still. Go ahead.
E. Jean Carroll is now emerging from the court. She's in the company of her attorney, Roberta Kaplan, who has her arm around E. Jean Carroll, there in sunglasses and wearing a white coat. On the other side of her is her other attorney, Sean Crowley, big smiles on their faces as they pause to have their picture taken, not only by the assembled reporters, but by a number of onlookers. Every time E. Jean Carroll has been in court, along with the former president, it has certainly drawn a crowd of onlookers. She is not going to pause at the microphones. Instead, she is getting into a waiting car, but clearly pleased by this $83.3 million jury award following the 4-day trial here in Lower Manhattan, Phil.
Yeah, and Aaron, you can see the world's media is there. Anytime the former president is involved in a court case, there are a lot of eyes on it, a lot of attention on it.
Aaron's reporting right now the Manhattan Federal Court.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the part of the reporting that I was talking about earlier, where we find out that an appeals court has ruled that the DOJ cannot represent Trump in either the $5 million case or the $83.3 million case. Ladies and gentlemen, according to news reports from June 2025, a federal appeals court has ruled that the DOJ, Department of Justice, cannot represent President Trump in his appeal of the Carroll defamation case. This decision, ladies and gentlemen, was made by a panel of judges on the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which means that American taxpayer money will not be funding the appeal of the $83 million defamation case. The Department of Justice, DOJ, had argued that it should be able to defend Trump in court because some of the alleged conduct in the case fell within the scope of his role as president. However, ladies and gentlemen, the court denied Trump's request for DOJ, Department of Justice representation in the appeal. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this legal breaking reporting, video analysis update, and legal breaking reporting news update. If you did enjoy this news update, please make sure you firstly like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Secondly, if you want to make sure you're always up to date on all the things legal breaking reporting wise on the side of politics, please hit the bell icon as well as the all notifications option. The bell icon is located directly beneath the screen here on the right hand side of the subscribe button. Thirdly, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make sure you're also always up to date please, on all the things legal breaking reporting wise, please follow me on my social medias. That'll be linked down below in the video description. Below, I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, as well as TikTok. There you guys will be updated instantly when I upload brand new legal breaking reporting analysis videos to the channel. Fourthly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the goal of 190 plus subscribers. The reason why I'm saying 190 plus subscribers is because, ladies and gentlemen, right after we reach 190 subscribers, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve. Right after we reach and achieve the goal of 190 subscribers. Fifthly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe and please stay positive. Even though, unfortunately, I know it's hard for the majority of you at times, unfortunately, during these unfortunate illegal induced criminality times caused by the Trump regime, to stay positive. It's even hard for me, unfortunately, to stay positive during these unfortunate illegal induced darkness times caused by the illegal regime of Donald Trump. And know that justice will prevail eventually, correctly, fully on the correct side of the law, despite Donald Trump and his illegal, unconstitutional regime and their illegal, unconstitutional, wrongful, unlawful executive orders, actions, and behaviors. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, always look for the points of light. And until my next legal breaking reporting video analysis update and legal breaking reporting, I will look forward to talking to you guys in the next legal breaking reporting video analysis update.